Introduction. Welcome councillors, officers and members of the public to the meeting of the Building Control Joint Committee. Reminder, please switch off your mobile phones to silent. There are members of the public press attending this meeting virtually along with officers of Mid Devon Council. Can I please ask those attending virtually to switch off your microphone to avoid any disruption during the meeting. The meeting is being recorded and will be available in due course on the council's YouTube channel. A reminder for councillors to ensure that all those virtually attending virtually can hear the proceedings and for the recordings to capture the entire meeting, please ensure that you project your voice and speak clearly. Please remember it's a formal meeting and therefore do not refer to each other by first names. Please be aware that the contents displayed on your iPad or laptops may be seen by others or members of the public attending the meeting. Therefore, please close down screens which are displaying confidential information during the public part of the meeting. In the event of a fire or fire alarm, there are no fire alarms planned. Therefore, upon hearing the fire alarm, please promptly leave the building by the nearest fire exit. Meet the officer or clerk of the meeting at the fire assembly point, which is located in the car park at the front of the building. This is about halfway up the car park and is marked with a sign. Please remain at the assembly point until you are instructed otherwise and do not leave this location. All officers and councillors are required to remain on site until instructed otherwise. Well, good morning, everybody. It is a fine Devon morning. Welcome to those in the room and especially those online. Do have apologies for absence.
Thank you, Chair. Apologies from Councillor Prowse and Andy Howard, the Building Control Manager, has apologised for this meeting too.
Thank you. To prove as a correct record the minutes of the meeting held on the 7th of May 2026. Well, I'm the only one who was present at that meeting. Can I have some guidance on how we proceed on this? I'm happy with the minutes.
Yeah, we still need a second to chair. Obviously,
Seconds.
Obviously, officers who were present obviously can't second that, but obviously.
So seconded by Councillor Lever. I'm in favour because I was the only one present. Duly signing these. Items brought forward, which in the opinion of the chair should be considered as a matter of urgency. I don't have any. Declarations of interest.
I've received none, Chair.
Thank you. To agree the agenda between Part A and Part B. I'll move from the chair.
There's no part B, so it's just a part A.
Oh, sorry, that's right. It's all in Part A. Yes, you're right. Part A, the 25-26 Building Control Partnership Trading Accounts outturn for Q4. A report by a North Devon Council Finance Officer.
Thank you, Chair. I'm here to present the Q4 outturn position for the joint trading account. This is on page 7 of your pack. First set of columns labelled 1 show the annual budget for each authority. Second set of columns show the forecast for the year based on the outturn information. Overall, the partnership is showing £100,000 positive variance. This is an improvement across both authorities from the Q3 position, around 75k. The 100,000 positive variance is predominantly to do with lower employee costs compared to budget. In section 3, we then allocate the forecast costs based on the split of the projected income across the two authorities. The current split is 66.05% North Devon and 33.95% Mid Devon. The net effect of this compared to each authority's budget is shown in the table on the bottom left, projecting North Devon to be £59,000 up for the year and Mid Devon also up by £44,000 for the year. Section 4 and 5 deal with the 75% chargeable element, where you can see both authorities are making a small surplus. Thank you, members. That concludes the presentation. I'm happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Seems to be quite quite straightforward. The only thank you for this. This is fine. I went back on to Modern Gov to look for the agenda pack for 2025 this year, and it wasn't there.
Okay, I can check that.
I think if you could just kind of check that there was 24 and one right at the end, our last meeting in 25, and then 26, but 2025. So I was looking for a comparison.
We can go back and check that, Chair. So there would have been a previous year trading account for 24-25.
Yeah.
If members want to see that, we can circulate that separately as well, but that should be on the system because it would.
No, I was really flagging the point that I think that there's something missing on the system at the moment. That would be helpful.
I'm happy to include notes.
Thank you. And Councillor Locke, proposed by Councillor Lever. Those in favour? That's unanimous. 26-27 Building Control Partnership Trading Account return for Q1. Turn to the report from North Devon Council Finance Manager.
Thank you, Chair. This Q1 trading account is a similar format to the previously described for the outturn. The Q1 figures are shown on page 9 of your pack. It's still early in the year, but initial forecasts are indicating North Devon's income to be up by around 8,000 and Mid Devon's to be down by a similar amount. This means that Section 3 split across North Devon and Mid Devon is 65.85% North Devon and 34.15% Mid Devon. The overall effect this has on the trading position for each authority is North Devon to be estimating a 16,000 deficit and Mid Devon to be indicating a 16,000 surplus at this time. And similar to the outstanding position, both authorities, when the 75% chargeable element is applied, both authorities are showing a small surplus. And that concludes the presentation. Happy with any questions.
Yeah, so just one. I just wondered how this compares with the similar position last year.
I think from memory last year we were reporting a bigger deficit in the early periods. The performance improved at the end of the year.
Yeah.
We saw in the last quarter how that swing improved the position due to the extra income and the lower employee costs. This time last year in Q1 we had higher employee costs because we were employing agency staff for one of the principal posts. As we talked about at the last committee, we've now obviously employed that into a substantive role, so that's reduced the agency reliance. So I haven't got the exact figures, but I recall the first couple of quarters last year we were reporting a larger deficit for each authority. As we can see here, overall, the cost in the fifth column of 171,000 is in line with the budget of 170,000, which is the first two columns. It's just a slight movement between each authority's share, because obviously our share of income is slightly up. That means that North Devon picks up a slightly higher proportion of the cost. Mid Devon's income slightly down, which shows that Mid Devon picks up a slightly lower proportion. So it's a 16,000 swing to us, but a 16,000 benefit to Mid Devon compared against the budget that overall is the partnership within the agreed budget that was set at the beginning of the year for both authorities.
Yeah. Okay.
Seems fair.
That's fine. Paul Deal online. Are there any points that you wish to make on this item at all?
Morning, everyone. No, not particularly. I think that the position, as Mr. Triggs outlined, is more positive this year than it was this time last year. Certainly from Mid Devon's perspective, I think it comes across much better. So congratulations to the team.
Thank you very much. Let's echo that. That was very much the mood of the last meeting as well. That the team were doing very well together. I'm happy to move that from the chair.
Agreed.
Seconded Councillor Locke, and we're all agreed. Mr. Deal, thank you very much. I believe you need to go to another meeting.
Much appreciated, Chair. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day.
Cool. See you soon.
And to the final item, building control business update report by the building control manager. This is attached.
Thank you, Chair. So I'm going to take that one on behalf of the building control manager, who's currently on jury service, so I'm sure he'd rather be with us. But in his absence, I will do my best to provide the performance information for you. So members, in front of you, you've got the normal format for the updates. On the first page, you've got the key performance indicators for last financial year, 25-26 for each quarter. Going to take you over the page to this report's indicators, which are for the first quarter of this year. In terms of the performance, the full plan applications determined in 2 months is 100%, the same as it was this time last year for Q1. Applications examined within 3 weeks has increased to 99%, whereas it was 76% this time last year. So the team have managed to get through those a lot quicker in Q1. Likewise, the average time to respond, first response has improved from 20 days this time last year to 17, still below the target of 10 days that the team wanted to achieve, but obviously heading in the right direction. Market share has maintained itself around 84-85%, which is similar to this time last year. The new housing completions has reduced from 31% this time last year to 22%, so that has been a drop. That does reflect the sort of economic conditions and also the tendency for those larger housing developers to use the approved inspectors rather than the local authority building control inspectors. Number of applications is slightly lower than last year. We had 331 in the first quarter, 282 this time, so again reflecting the market conditions. Hopefully that will improve as we go through the years. As we go through the year, in terms of financial performance, obviously number of applications received is down, but our income overall as a partnership is in target with the budget. So at least the financial position is fine from that perspective. In terms of resources for the team, we're now operating with 4 Class 1 inspectors, as we touched on at the last meeting. So we are now fully staffed. We're not reliant on any temporary staff or any agency staff, which is really positive. And obviously the focus now is on getting those Class 1 inspectors with their experience and training up to a level where we can obviously get the experience out of them, and that reliance on the senior inspectors drops off, because obviously at the moment the North Devon senior or the senior inspectors across the partnership obviously have to supervise a large element of some of the work the Class 1s are doing. But the positive thing is that the team is fully complement in terms of staffing, and obviously the focus is obviously maintaining staff morale and making sure we retain those staff and we train and invest in them for the future. The Class 1 inspector update is shown in your report on pages 13 and 14. That just touches on how they're developing and the education and training that they're fulfilling. The new burdens funding that we touched on in the last few meetings around, we're due to be receiving some money. Pleased to report that's actually now been received. So government have given North Devon Council 132,900 and Mid Devon 111,800. That's new burdens funding for the building safety levy and the implementation costs that we'll need to incur. The plan from the building control team is to purchase some building safety levy software, employ an external consultant to set up automated reports to provide our collecting information that we need to then submit, and also purchase a plug-in software that then uploads to our back office IDOC system for the automated application forms. Andy and the team are looking to procure that. Mid Devon provide the ICT provision for all of the building control software, so that work will be going through the Mid Devon ICT team, and the aim is to procure and implement as soon as possible, given that we've got a 1st of October implementation date for the levy. If the software and system isn't in place, then we'll need to make sure that we have backup manual workarounds to ensure that we can fulfill the requirements for the 1st of April implementation. In terms of all of the regulations, etc., that are coming through for the building safety levy, that's all set out in terms of the technical updates and the seminars that the team are attending on pages 15 and 16. The regulations were laid before Parliament on 2nd of July, and we're just waiting for that to go through the normal parliamentary procedures. But MHCLG are proposing they'll come into force in parallel with the building safety levy going live on the 1st of October 26. As I touched on, we're aiming to get the software implemented and the systems in place in the back office team in advance of that. We obviously only have 3 or 4 months in order to do that now. So in the absence of having that fully implemented, there will be a fallback position that the team will be collecting that information manually in time for then feeding that into the new software when that's implemented. They don't envisage any problems in doing that. Moving away from the levy, the team have had the internal audit carried out. This is the ISO audit. That process is there to ensure compliance with the ISO 9001 requirements, making sure that our policies, procedures and statutory obligations are fulfilled, assessing the effectiveness of those processes, identifying any non-conformities and any areas of improvement. Within the report, Andy talks about NCRs and OFIs. Just for clarity, NCRs are non-conformance reports. And that's if there's any element of concern around breaking any of the quality standards, and OFIs are opportunities for improvements. The Appendix 1 in your report, which is on pages 19 to 21, sets out the review of the areas of non-conformance, and Appendix 2 sets out an improvement plan to address some of those. Some of those have been completed. And a number of those have completion dates set out through 2026 to 2027, and the team are working towards ensuring those are completed. In terms of the partnership priorities, the important thing is to try and remain competitive in the employment field. I think the team have done remarkably well to get all of the substantive posts filled. A lot of other partnerships and building control teams are still using temporary or agency staff or are holding vacant posts, whereas partnership across both North Devon and Mid Devon has been strong. We've managed to attract and retain the staff, and as we've shown, we've invested in them in terms of their training requirements. So that's the key focus in terms of moving forward, is to make sure their training is supported and the team are getting the skills and experience and exposure they need. The focus is making sure we've got the software procured for the building safety levy, and making sure those automated systems are working in the back office in advance of the October deadline. And alongside that, the team want to try and make sure that the team are agile, and obviously enabling the partnership to respond to change. We obviously have local government reorganisation that's obviously going to be happening in the next 18 months as well. And it's important the team are continuing to be strong, because that team needs to then go into the new authority that will obviously be coming live on the 1st of April 2028. But I think the partnership has worked really, really strongly, managed to attract good staff into there and develop those staff. That's a really good partnership to then be moving into the new authority, and puts the new authority in a good, strong position as a starting point. So I think, Chair, that sets out the papers in front of you. So Appendix 1 sets out the review of the audit, and Appendix 2 sets out the improvement plan in order to address those areas that have been picked up. Happy to try and address any questions that members may have, Chair.
Right, thank you very much. I mean, that was an exceedingly thorough report, and the paper documentation that goes along with it is very, very detailed. And the positive high notes that are really kind of coming through is good. It's great that we're battle ready for the upturn in the economy, and certainly in Mid Devon we're beginning to see those planning applications starting to come through. Is that the same in North Devon?
So we've had a couple of larger applications come through more recently. I think we're reporting our planning income is slightly down on budget, aren't we, for the first quarter? So not quite the increase we were seeing towards the last quarter of last year. But yeah, pleasing obviously to see that obviously you're seeing some market improvement in Mid Devon. We will start to see that come through in North Devon as well.
The story that we're getting from developers, particularly sort of medium-sized developers here, is that it's quite tough, and they're getting planning consents, but they're not necessarily able to implement.
And that's really why I'm saying we're getting back already, because it's there, and suddenly they will start to actually come through. But compared with when I first joined 3 years ago now, we have moved into a much better position.
Absolutely. And as I say, we've got a full complement of the team really there to, and obviously we've got some level one, which obviously are getting some experience, but the team are in a position really as and when the market conditions improve. I think we're in as strong a position as we can be, Chair.
I had a couple of questions. Yeah, thanks. The very thorough report, and I mean, maybe these are things we pass back to Andy, but at the Local Government Association conference, I was talking to the LABC people who were promoting the apprenticeship scheme, and I don't know if we've taken advantage of that or are planning to take advantage of that. Because I mean, as I understand it from them, it's at no cost to us, funded through government.
Yeah, so each authority pays into an apprenticeship levy.
Yeah.
Obviously as a major employer, and then obviously we use that apprenticeship levy to fund the training opportunities that the staff undertake. So obviously, even if we've got mature graduates coming into the team, a lot of their training is funded through that apprenticeship levy. Okay. So the training that Andy's outlined in the report for one of our surveyors, excuse me, who's studying at Wolverhampton University, that will be funded through the apprenticeship route, because we'll be using the apprenticeship levy money that we can tap into to pay for that. Similarly, across the organisations, both here and at Mid Devon, we'll have staff that may not be coming in on apprenticeship roles, but maybe in a substantive role somewhere else, but actually carrying out apprenticeship training through their courses and studying. So we've had some staff who are training, say, through University of Exeter, but some of our high-level staff here in the authority are tapping into that and using the apprenticeship levy to pay for their training. So likewise, our Class 1 inspectors who are having some of their training at universities, that is coming through the apprenticeship route and being funded through the apprenticeship levy. Yeah.
Thank you. The other thing was on the ISO audit. I mean, there are. I'll speak from some experience. There's quite a number of non-conformity in that. I mean that seems like quite a sort of high number to me. And there were a couple of things really, a couple of questions really. One is there something systemic that needs to be addressed to do with those non-conformities? And the other question is, I know this is an internal audit, which are always a bit kinder than external audits, but is part of the process to have an external audit, and actually with those sort of numbers of non-conformities, would an external audit be something that might be useful to, you know, to maybe expose some areas of weakness so that they can be they can be picked up and addressed, as Councillor Keeble says, for getting us battle ready for the upturn in the economy.
I think I mean, obviously there is a number in there, obviously, in terms of non-conformities. I don't think that's out of the ordinary, because there's always things in there around training and checking within a certain number of days, etc. I think, as we've seen, the team priorities have changed because we've got to implement other priorities that the government are giving in terms of things like the levy, etc. So there will always be something that has to give in terms of those. The ISO audit, even though it's an internal audit, does go back to the LABC. So therefore, that does the standards team obviously do get that report. So in a way, it is looked at externally. It's not just something that we've had done internally. So it does have that external scrutiny from the LABC. Okay. The improvement plan is submitted to them as well, so they get to see sight of, okay, we've got these non-conformities, but this is what we're doing to address them, and the timeline that we're looking to address them within. If they're not happy with that, obviously we will get obviously no doubt notified of that. And likewise, we'll make sure that members are aware of that as well. But I think in terms of the plan that Andy has set out, and some of those areas have been addressed already and been completed in June. A number had target dates of next month, August. So I would hope by the time we report back in the next meeting, which will be in 3 months' time, that actually that list is significantly shortened, because it should then really only have those that are future dated in Jan 27 and some of the dates next year for more some of those long term. Could ask is for Andy and part of his next report is to provide an update on delivery against that improvement plan, if that would be useful, so that you can see, okay, there might be how many we've got, there's about 15 actions in that improvement plan. 3 or 4 of those have been completed, and numbers should be completed this month. So I'd hope to see a much shorter list come through at your next meeting, so we could ask Andy to provide an update on delivery against those, and also the risk element in those that are left outstanding.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. That would be helpful.
Thanks a lot. To apprenticeships, ask a question around. Now, most people's thoughts of apprenticeships is around people who perhaps don't want to go down the academic route. And I just wondered about, you're talking about graduates coming in at apprenticeship. Is that, I'm not suggesting that there's anything wrong, you're doing anything wrong, but is that excluding other opportunities for young people to take up apprenticeships if you're bypassing maybe some of the routes that others could take?
Yeah, I mean, when the posts are advertised, so we don't generally advertise them as graduates. They'll be advertised as a level 1 inspector. So that will be people who can come in with minimal or hardly any experience at all, and then we would look to train them up through the apprenticeship route. So obviously, when we advertised last time around, we had a couple of graduates that came in. That doesn't mean that there aren't people out there who aren't gone through the graduate scheme. It may be they come in on a lower level, and we will bring them in on the apprenticeship route as well. So generally, we will be looking to fill those lower level posts to give those opportunities to train people up. So the plan is that we don't just try and narrow it down and say this is the type of person we want. We really want to advertise somebody to come in at level 1, which is the lowest level, and then we would look to provide that training opportunity for them. Depending on the level of skills they come and the education they have, they may take a slightly different route when we look at their course, and some may come in with a slightly higher degree of experience than others. But if somebody comes in with no experience, we would offer that opportunity to do their training for them as well.
Thank you. And it's not relevant, but I'll say it anyway. One of the statistics coming out of Mid Devon is that 30% of the new builds in the last year were Mid Devon housing, which I think is really quite impressive from Mid Devon housing's point of view, perhaps not for other builders, but yeah, I'm very proud of that fact. So I'll say it anyway.
We're seeing a picture here where developments that have got planning consent for, the usual mix of mostly open market, some affordable, going more affordable. There's 2 largish developments already, and I know some builders are starting to look at changing their planning consents, their planning conditions to increase the number of affordables. Homes England are the only people with money to pay for new houses.
Absolutely.
Just to put some number on Councillor's Lock point, and I think this is more of an indication. It's an indication of how badly the private sector are at the moment, and how well the public sector is actually doing. But 30% of new starts in the last year have been council houses. And that just kind of really indicates the kind of the change that is actually happening, and how the private sector, as you were saying, there are applications that are coming in, there is land banking going on, and that's why we need to be back ready.
Also shows how how effective and good local authorities are at delivery of housing.
Yes.
Yeah, that will obviously increase, and government targets no doubt will be being looked at as well moving forward. So it's only going to go in one direction, I think, Chair.
I don't really want to break out on local government reorganisation LGR, but is this going to be a future agenda item
In terms of having an item
for this meeting, or is that a little bit too early?
I think it's probably too early at this stage. I think at the moment, obviously, each council are no doubt receiving LGR updates on the process and the implementation programme that's taking place. Obviously, sat beneath that are a number of themes that obviously are being worked through. There aren't specific things around themes around specific services, but there are things that are going to be coming up around place-based services, etc., in the future. So I think there will be probably opportune moments to talk about LGR within. I don't think there's probably the need for an individual item at the moment. Obviously, through the service updates, anything that the team are working on in terms of LGR related work will obviously come through in Andy's report. But I think each authority will be getting their own sort of specific updates in terms of LGR activity, in terms of what the work is going on in terms of the implementation. As we get near a date, and obviously this time next year, possibly, I suspect there may be a need then to be bringing it into the agenda arena.
I'd be happy to let that pass in the near future, the up and coming quarterly meeting. But I think it's something that even if it's there just as a standing item to say there is nothing to report, then we at least know there's nothing to report on it. Just expanding this out a little bit more. I know that North Devon and Torridge have very close relationships in terms of sharing services, and in many ways I'm quite surprised that building control isn't part of that. Is the can you enlighten me, or that might be, and it's not an item on the agenda, but it'll be or something after the meeting.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, obviously, the partnership we embedded here, I think start was 2017. I think it was when we brought that together. So it's been running almost a decade now. At that time, obviously, there were conversations with Torridge and their building control team as to whether they wanted to form part of that. There wasn't the appetite at that time. Andy has reached out to them over the years as well in terms of is there a conversation to be had about widening the partnership, especially in light of staffing resources, because obviously we were at a time where we were struggling to fill substantive posts. Torridge were in a similar position as well, and actually if you can bring that pool of resource together and make the partnership stronger, that there were opportunities for that. There hadn't been the appetite for that conversation to continue at that stage. Obviously, moving into the new authority, that will obviously take place because that building control work across the wider piece will obviously fall to a much bigger team in the future. So that will naturally happen, obviously, under the LGR process. That will obviously be a piece of work that will be looked at. I think we're all quite realistic about on day one of new authority, it's making sure that we're safe and legal and providing the services that we need to provide. I don't think we're going to have a transformative new team in place for the 1st of April 2028, but obviously that is something that we'll be aspiring to do at some point in the near future. That will obviously bring Torridge to the table, and obviously the other authorities that will be forming part of that new Devon Council.
Aspiration is always good.
Yeah. Certainly, I know Andy was very keen to bring others into the partnership, so he was always open-armed and welcoming to others who wanted to have that conversation. I think just over the time that appetite hadn't been there from other partners, but that appetite I'm sure will obviously now be changing under the LGR.
Understood.
I mean, on that note, I think the North Devon and Torridge, I think, are unique in not in both going into a single unitary rather than being split, and obviously there's issues for mid Devon because you'll be going in with East Devon and Exeter only a little bit, but yeah. So people in Crediton may find they have to go somewhere else for their and control functions.
Certainly, the appetite to bring other partners together has been there in the past, and certainly Councillor Lever and the leader from North Devon have had conversations with their counterparts at Torridge to have tried to facilitate sharing of services, etc. But
Perhaps after the meeting, when the recording's up, I can.
Talk for a little bit more. Yeah, I was really wanting to get the formal bit, and then there's informal stuff, and kind of really setting the forward agenda about where we are and where we can expect to be as a joint committee. If there are no other points, and I'm looking around the room, then thank you for your attendance this morning. I declare the meeting closed.
just need to note that report, Chair. Sorry.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
I will propose from the chair that the note the report and the aforesaid points. The meeting is now closed.
Thank you, members. Thank you.